Hi, folks. Welcome to another edition of the Cycling 74 Discord office hours. I'm super excited to be here this morning, as I am with all of these. But I know Federico Foderaro pretty well. Maybe I know him better than he knows me because I've watched a lot of his tutorials over the years. Um, he's been actively producing one of the most consistent and thorough set of Max tutorials with a jitter focus for almost 9 years now. And to Federico's credit, even when he gets busy with other projects or even working for Cycling 74 now, he still consistently produces some of the best tutorials. It's phenomenal. I'm sure many of you can relate to this. I certainly can. When you get busy, it's very hard to stay consistent with this kind of tutorial educational content. And Federico has actually been incredible. I mean, it's one of the best jitter resources out there. Federico, welcome.
Thank you so much, Tom. Yeah, thank you. It's really a pleasure to be here. I'm actually a bit excited. I don't do this often, so since there's a lot of people, I
Yeah, if people
don't have
are
a live
uns
audience usually, so that's a bit of difference.
yeah, live audience. So if people are unfamiliar, I mean, I'm going to presume everyone already knows Federico, but I just posted his excellent YouTube URL link in the comments. Uh, But Federico, before we kind of delve into jitter side of things, I want to kind of get a bit of your background. You grew up in Rome, right? Italy,
Yeah,
like
right.
yeah. And you did have a computer, early Windows machine, right? Like that you would
Yeah, yeah,
bash
yeah,
around and program a little bit, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember when I was trying to mod video games in my teenager years on Windows. So this is where kind of it all started. I was not super into software, but yeah, I mean, at the time, there was not really so much. Um, Computers were still kind of new, at least for my generation. So yeah, and yeah, I didn't get into software actually until I went to the conservatory later. Then I started with music, studying music. I actually wanted to be a jazz guitarist.
Wow.
I was like
I didn't
20.
know that.
Yeah, no, it was not really successful career. I kind of sucked actually at the guitar. But so yeah, I tried to get into the conservatory for jazz guitar.
Okay.
They say nope. And then I saw there was another course which was electronic music, and then
Nice.
it sounds actually cool. I also like electronic music, so there they took me.
Right. And I remember you telling me that when you got into the electronic music course, like Max, like I don't want to say it was gatekept, but it was kind of explained to you or something that that's only what the super nerdy guys like do, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I don't know. There was this kind of mystical aura around Max that it was this super difficult program because people would use other stuff to make music, like Ableton Live or Reason, or there was this other environment with graphical objects. I don't remember. This was also a synthesizer. I don't remember now how it's called, but people would like say, okay, you can do music with this, but Max is like this super complex thing that only geniuses can use. So intimidated, yeah.
Yeah, I just remembered you telling me this years ago, and I even wonder now, like how much of that was, academics having worked out something inside of Max, right? And then wanting to convey that they were perhaps, doing something grandiose more. And so, because I also struck something similar where people were conflating this concept of Max being very difficult. And then once someone showed you, you were like, huh, what? Like, yeah, I don't know. I think, and so this happened for you, but thankfully it's kind of wild to me who your first professor was. I think a lot of people in here know your first. Tell us about your first professor.
Yeah, it was the awesome Maurizio Giri, who wrote the book Computer Music and Sound Design, together
Yeah.
with another maestro, teacher of mine, which is Alessandro Cipriani.
Oh,
Which,
you also had Alessandro.
yeah, they
Oh,
were
wow.
there, and they were really
Unreal.
great teachers. I think that's actually why I went to that conservatory and not to the one in Rome. Actually, the conservatory I went was not in Rome, where I'm from. Was in
Right.
this small city called Frosinone, which I don't know if there are some Italians in the chat. Hopefully, you're not from Frosinone because I'm gonna say it's not like a super beautiful place. Yeah, this is where kind of the good stuff was happening. They had a super good um, course. The electronic music course was really pumped, and engineering was also very good. So yeah, Maurizio and Alessandro. Yeah, Maurizio was very. He's a great teacher.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can do everything. I think.
Yeah, I've never had the pleasure of having, being sitting in on a class or a lecture or a workshop by Maurizio, but I've certainly gone through the books, and it's pretty clear to me from the books and from the success of those books that, he's worked out how to digest and kind of, yeah, lay it out. And I kind of only imagine how great it would have been to be in the classroom with those guys. Like, wow.
Yeah, the cool thing was that it would also challenge us, dumb students, to find solution to problems. And I think this was really cool because then you had this satisfaction moment in which you could think the solution to the problem, and then this kind of made me also more wanting to go on with Max. This
Right.
little, it is really important when teaching to give these little satisfaction moments.
Right. It's a little bit of the like, give the man a fish, he eats for a day, teach the man to fish, he eats for a lifetime. Uh yeah, it's definitely a big part of Max is like I know the cadenza course, many friends said that was really instrumental in helping them learn how to, debug and how to problem solve because in Max it's a programming language. You hit hurdles, and if you don't know how to get over that hurdle, well, you often that's the end of that journey. Um,
Mm.
so I actually get that from Maurizio's books too. Are very good at teaching you to like the exercises are great for teaching how to problem solve. And so, but you didn't know jitter existed, right? Like you
No,
were
no, no
using
idea.
Max, but you didn't know yet that this whole visual side of Max existed, right?
Yeah.
When did you first kind of delve into the Max, to the jitter side of Max?
I don't know exactly how it happened. I don't think that Maurizio told us about Jitter, or maybe he told us, okay, there is also this, you can also do that.
Yeah, yeah,
But he never really showed us anything, I think, in Jitter. So I
right,
guess he went through the examples, I think, and I found them really cool. And I don't know why. I mean, I was not at all into visuals.
right.
but somehow it really fascinated me so much. This kind of problem solving aspect related to visuals.
Yeah.
And I liked it also related to the audio part. But somehow, I don't know. I really went into then really deep into visuals. And I actually abandoned also Jitter for 1 year or so after the conservatory, I think. I went into like
Huh.
open frameworks and
Okay.
processing, these sort of things.
Interesting.
And I
Uh,
think this was good actually
so
to then yeah.
what inspired you to start doing Amazing Max tutorials? Like, was it part of you like, sometimes this happens where people kind of like, oh, I learned a thing, so let me show other people, right? Was it that kind of thing, or was it you made a conscious decision to start doing tutorials? Like,
No, I think it was really as you said. The first video I uploaded, I think, is this one about how to recreate the sound of the modem, the 54K
I
modem,
think
something.
that was the first video I ever saw of yours, and I don't think I'd heard that sound for many years, and I immediately just lost it. And I actually
Yeah,
remember asking you like only a year ago or so, do you still have that patch? And
yeah, right.
you couldn't find it. This 56K modem dial-up sound is so good.
Yeah, yeah, because I just finished reading the book from Andy Farrell, Designing Sound. I don't know if I say the title and the author name correctly, so
Yeah, yeah, I know the one.
okay. And so I was totally into like recreating real sounds, and this was fairly easy to recreate. And then this video got a lot of views, and I had a lot of yeah, that book, Andy Farnell. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I got a lot of uh, happy feeling about this little success of mine, and then I thought, okay, I want more of this, so I can make more videos, and
Nice.
this kicked it off. And I think this is still why I do videos. I think, yeah.
Yeah, it's fun, like I mean, you've clearly made and this is before you even long before you even had um a Patreon, but like you've definitely made a community around your work. Uh yeah, I'm trying to find these. I know that some of these designing sound exercises, there's a few GitHubs that people have actually gone ahead and done them in Max. Um,
Mm,
I just posted one of them.
I
There's a
think
couple actually.
I
Here's
think I've
another one.
seen this one. No, this is only 4 years ago, so probably not. I also remade all the examples in Max. I mean, not all, maybe, but most of them in Max at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Cool.
a
Yeah.
great book. It's a great book. It's actually a great book to learn. I've done this with other stuff. Where there's a few great books out there on PD, and with the exception of just a few objects, it's not too hard to learn and translate them over to Max.
Yeah. It's
And
a
it's
nice.
actually another great learning resource. A lot of the PD books, I don't know if there's any current ones that are out, but like, you can pick them up used pretty cheap. And it's if you're thirsty for there's some PD ones that go into the theory behind sound, not PD related or Max, just sound in general, and they're quite
Mhm.
great as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the
So
56K video was the start of it all, and then came uh I distinctly remember your first tutorial. Like I was like this is cool. This guy's onto something. Also, I don't speak Italian. What am I gonna do? Um,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I did think this was very cool, right? Because it was there was some gen coverage by cycling by us, but you kind of really went super low level, and there's something visually intuitive about, because I'd worked with sine and cosine in the audio domain,
mm,
getting to see it visually, and it's the same, -1 to 1. Like I was like, oh, light bulbs start going off. Um,
mm,
and so yeah, that was that for me, that was very cool. And what I took note, I just realized now you from the set, immediately from the get-go, you were numbering your tutorials. You were laying down intention.
yeah, yeah. I always number my tutorials, but mostly they go like 1, 2, and then I start something completely new. I'm not super constant. Yeah, I'm
There's
very
some that
bad.
go quite a distance. Yeah. Um, yeah, it's incredible. And what's been some of the, I'm curious, like what I know you've had people reach out to you, from through the industry, from Max, whatever. Like what's some of the unexpected outcomes of uh having done this series so consistently for so long?
Well, the most unexpected one is that it became my job, basically. This became, even before working with cycling, I was already working full time with Max. And
Yeah.
this is something that I'm super grateful for. This is it's really awesome when you can really work with what you will make for fun. This I think is the coolest thing I achieved, basically, yeah. And it was all thanks to the tutorials, basically.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, I think someone at cycling, as I recall, would be like, "Look what Federico did this week. Look what Federico did this week." I mean, at a certain point, it just made sense to bring you on board, to work on Jitter directly.
Yeah, this is so cool.
Yeah. Um, you did do a lot of installation work though, right? Like you were doing some pretty incredible projects there, throughout Europe, right? Both
Yeah,
music related and installation based, right? Can you tell us a little bit about those?
yeah. Basically, I started to be contacted by companies to work on installations, which were mostly like promotional stuff, um, or yeah, mostly promotional. Just they wanted to have some cool installation thing going on, and so I was often also part of bigger teams um, that were working with other programs, and I put a little max into the whole thing, and then I did some art pieces as well, not directly maybe installations, but just some art, visual art, audiovisual art around in Germany, and this all started when I moved to Berlin. Basically, this is what also kicked off my career, let's say, because this was such a cool um, ground for meeting people, having connections, working on stuff that I would have never dreamt.
Right, right. I mean, Berlin's infamous for being a very creative, diverse city with a lot of folks trying to be artists, trying to like develop creative careers.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Max
I
has
took,
a Max has a history there with its relationship with Ableton. Um, A lot of great Macs users in Berlin.
Yeah, yeah, I met some very cool people, and also I did some really cool jobs. Also, not so cool jobs. I mean, I just did jobs. A job is a
Yeah.
job at a certain point. Even if you make it with Max, there is always going to be a moment in which it's another gig, and
Yeah.
you just do it for the money, but you maybe would like to do something else. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I imagine
nevertheless.
those commercial jobs usually have some pretty tight confines, right? Like in terms of out like what they want, their vision. Uh did you find your expertise in jitter to allow you to kind of, have somewhat be somewhat flexible with how you integrated jitter and how you leveraged it in that environment?
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. I mean, mostly the client actually is already the best case scenario if they know what they want.
Right.
That's good. If they tell you exactly what they want, we're already a long way.
Right.
Because usually they just don't know themselves what they want, and you have to propose something, and then okay, yeah, this we could do that, but then it's actually not the right thing. So this is yeah, and usually they don't care how you do it. So being knowing the craft kind of allows you to maybe do stuff that they will think is super difficult. You can do it very easily, and the other way around, they can tell you, this stuff is surely very simple. I just want to have some water reflecting, some tentacles, and must be super realistic looking. And they think, yeah, surely you can do it in 5 minutes. And other things they will think are super difficult and actually are super simple. So
It's
yeah.
always you can do it in 5 minutes, right? Like there's just that lack of understanding of um like these are creative tools, we're creatives. It takes time. Yeah. I think we all saw it recently with Daniel Elkray. What's his name? The Spotify CEO, where he said, it basically costs nothing to make content. Um,
Hmm.
he was essentially just saying, you can just knock it out. And it was like, wow, this guy has this arguably one of the most creative platforms in the world in terms of what he hosts, and completely doesn't understand how it's made, how the sausage factory works. Um, I think he understands that AI can churn it out, and that costs nothing almost. I mean, a bit of GPU and power, but yeah, it's interesting. I haven't done a lot of those marketing commercial work, a little bit of it, but yeah, that's been my experience too, is just the time frame, understanding of time frame and how long it takes to get something done is very
Hmm.
different. Um, Meanwhile, if you have a guy come over to, put up a brick wall, somehow everyone can understand that that can't just happen in a few hours. Like,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the beauty of making some kind of traditional job, something that you can explain your mother, what you're doing. Uh, because yeah, I can never explain what I do to people mostly without
Yeah,
going.
isn't that a funny one, right? That's a conversation that has occurred at Cycling 74 actually. Is like, how do we all explain to our parents what it is that we do? Um, I think
Well,
it's actually any creative or any artist struggles with that. Unless their parents themselves were artists or creatives, I think that
mhm.
perhaps would be a little easier. I know when I go home, a few times I've been working on some sound stuff, and after a few days, my mum starts to actually want to make suggestions. Like, hey, I like that. You should do that there. No, that's changed. Change that. I'm like, oh, I think it's time to leave now. Um, yeah, it's that age-old mentality of the normie or whoever goes to the gallery, right, and looks at the Picasso or the whatever painting and is like, oh, I could do that. I could do that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm
yeah,
sure you could. And that's the thing. Everyone could. I mean, it's just a matter of
that's
time.
it. Yeah.
Um, it's time. Time is of the essence. Uh, Federico, you have some stuff to show us today, right? We're just not gonna sit here and talk. You have some things to show us, and I'm sure everyone would be pretty excited to see some Federico patches that these are not out there right now, right? This is some stuff you.
So, yeah, what as we were saying before with Tom, I was mostly what I'm working on is under non-disclosure agreement at the moment, either with cycling or so with some other people, and I don't have super lots of time nowadays because I have a 5 months old son, which, as you may know, it kind of sucks away all the time from life. These
Right.
the creatures. So I wanted to show you something that I did it today. So the thing is that I'm thinking since a while about creating some sort of games with Max and audio. So some sort of audio games. And I think
Nice.
Max is the perfect platform for something like this. I just haven't really done anything for the moment, but I want to show you something that goes in that direction a bit. So let me share my screen. I hope I'm not going to share anything embarrassing. In case you just yell at me and tell me to switch off my computer or something.
I'll try and keep an eye out for anything embarrassing. I think you'll be okay, Federico.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, so
Can everyone see that all right? You can maybe just make the patcher a little bigger. It's slight. Yeah, zoom in a
like
little. There
that.
we go. Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, sorry, it's a bit messy just because, yeah, just improvised. Okay, let me turn the audio on. I don't know how loud this is going to be.
Sounds great. Sounds great here.
Okay, nice. Uh,
This is awesome.
okay, so this is not really even a game at the moment, but it was going in that direction. Um, I can tell you what's going on.
Yeah, please do.
Basically, each one of those circles represents a grain into a buffer, an audio buffer, which represents a place in that buffer with a duration of we can set the duration, for example, 55 milliseconds. And so when the triangle here, which I am moving with my keyboard, goes close enough to these circles, the circles that are close enough will start to play their part of the buffer, basically. And after they play the buffer for some time, they start to get smaller and then disappear. And that's it. I guess you won the level, something like that. And yeah, this was my idea.
I like it.
I actually started from the aesthetics. I wanted something with circles and red lines, and then I worked down from there.
And I see
So
you have like 100 grains, right? Something
yeah, exactly.
100.
So
Yeah.
the audio part is actually from a tutorial of mine, which is a three-part tutorial about granular synthesizer with MC, and I modified it to work with instead of creating random notes, it creates notes at the it creates it takes plays the grains at the ID of those circles. So, but mostly it's just the tutorial. It's actually very simple. We got like an envelope that plays into the buffer with MC Play, and we get some panning with these MC, random panning actually with this MC sig here. Um, right, this is kind of very basic. Then the graphic part, I've done it in JavaScript because nowadays I mostly work in JavaScript for the visual side. This is actually something that we could get a bit deeper into why I like so much JavaScript and why I think everybody should learn a bit of JavaScript to leverage Max, especially in the jitter side. This is all made yeah, it's all JavaScript. I like sort of object-oriented approach. This is kind of what I'm more comfortable with. And
I often say that with Jitter, Jitter is data based. Like you need to make some kind of data set b- just to make something visual. And JavaScript, a little bit of JavaScript can really help you manage and generate those data sets, keep track of things as well.
yeah, keep
You
track.
actually have, I recall, Federico, they usually have some pretty good JavaScript, getting started with JavaScript and in Jitter tutorials, I think, from quite a few years ago now.
Yeah, I actually want to make more, but yeah, I got some. I mean, if you want to start with Java, if someone doesn't know anything about JavaScript, maybe they are not super. Although I have some really old ones that start from scratch, but my accent there is really horrible, and
No, no, no.
I will not suggest those. So I would suggest first to learn a bit of JavaScript somewhere else, and then you can go into. Yeah, I got a lot of them actually. Basically,
I
these ones are
like this. I like this series you did from, I remember it. I think you just did two, it was a two-part JavaScript, variable functions, if statements. This is
Hmm,
actually a super great series, even for generating data to use with MSP, actually. Uh,
yeah, sure. This is here I was like trying to build a little video game, some sort of space shooter sort of thing. And I actually went farther out outside of the tutorials. But yeah, this is also kind of a very big project, and this is contains all my knowledge about JavaScript. Basically, if you watch this, then you will be pretty much good to go. Um, Yeah. So yeah, JavaScript is awesome. I remember Rob once I asked him if I should do something in JavaScript or in regular Max, and he told me you could do it in regular Max, but why would you? And this kind of stuck with me. And so yeah, JavaScript is the way to go for a lot of scenarios.
it's really great for procedural stuff, like definitely, doing if statements and for loops in Max is a little quite complicated, if not nearly impossible, with large data sets.
Yeah.
JavaScript is so great at making short work of making arrays and the likes, and um, yeah, that's something we all hope to make easier as well. Better. S Madison is here from Force. He said it's also better for carpal tunnel. Uh,
Yeah, 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 exactly.
Federico, this patch is great. It doesn't seem to be overly complex.
No,
Uh, yeah, it's great. How many lines of text do you have there in the JavaScript? I'm just curious. Like,
there are some wasted ones, but it's like, yeah, 200.
yeah, it's not too hefty. Um,
I don't know. It's very simple, and I like to write everything clear for myself, especially. Um, that's another thing that I learned along the way. Like, don't think you are clever; just think you are very stupid, and it will make life so much easier if you
right.
just try to out clever yourself. Just help yourself.
Yeah.
So, so I like to write everything like real clear that I can understand it at the first glance without having to be particularly clever, like naming all the variables in a very clear way, let's say. So yeah,
I
there you
find
could.
that I would totally agree with that. I find there was a point in my, years ago when I was like, oh, I can do this in a really smart way, right? And then I go back to that patch and I have to relearn something I was doing, because it's like, oh, it doesn't need to be that complex, but I decided to try and make myself look smarter.
Yeah, yeah, you only learn that with experience.
And it's like, hey, if it works, it works. It doesn't, you don't need to use you can use 100 max objects to make it work, or you can use one. There's probably one object that already does the thing that the 100 objects do. Um, yeah.
So
I love this patch. Visually, it's really interesting. I also, it does have a game-like quality. It reminds me a little bit of Brian Eno's January Bloom app as well. Like he had the circle things expanding and going away. Is this a patch that you're able to share with us?
yeah, definitely.
Rico? Wow,
Usually
folks.
you should run out of the box. If not, you just need to load an audio file here
Okay.
and
You've got a drop down Dropbox there for the audio.
and then you just have a grain duration, and that's it, I think. So I will share it right away.
Unreal. Yeah, if you're okay with dropping it in the chat,
Yeah, yeah.
we'll
Yeah, I
show
just made it
people.
for this purpose, basically. So there you go, folks.
Amazing Mac tutorials exclusive.
Right. Yeah, maybe I will make a tutorial about it. Actually, I thought this could be something. Yeah, I'm really actually you were so nice at the beginning saying that I constantly push out things, but at the moment I'm really not producing anything since a while, and I feel like I started to feel bad about it. So I want to. This could be the next tutorial.
Well, don't feel bad about it. I think in time people will understand why you haven't been making tutorials, but um okay, it looks like this just started right up for me.
Oh, nice. That's
And
actually. Let me try actually.
let's put a little bit of audio here.
Oh, you need to press init. I forgot to tell you that.
init. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's just,
like that.
oh, this is cool. Yeah, totally works here. Uh,
Nice, nice.
Very cool. Oh, I see Sabina is here. I think
Oh, I see.
very cool. Hi, Sabina. Oh, cool. Sabina actually does some really great jitter stuff as well, tutorials and like. Actually, I've got to have Sabina on an office hours. Um,
Be awesome.
yeah, Federico,
Um,
what is your favorite? I mean, this is probably very hard. What is your favorite jitter object?
The object I would go in
The
vacation. So
desert island. What's your desert island jitter object that
if I
you
was stuck,
that you have to hang out with on the beach under the palm tree?
yeah, I never thought about it, strangely. Um, I think that will be JIT but it's a bit cheating because it's like a container of other objects.
Right. I don't know. Because like if someone asks me for my MSP favorite, I might say Gen, just because it's just you can pretty much make an entire max world inside of Gen.
It's the
Uh
most.
yeah. What about non container? Ned Rush just said phaser, and I mean I have to agree. You can do a lot with a phaser.
If I was an audio guy, I would say phaser, yeah. It's
It's
kind of
it's kind of
sharp and
it's
dangerous.
wild. Yeah, it's wild what you can do with a 0 to 1 ramp, right? Like, um,
If I was not, maybe JIT, the phys stuff, the physics objects are
yeah.
really. I love the physics objects. So maybe JIT phys multiple or something like that.
User friendly said, "Hey, I feel like it's fair to say, Jan, it's like saying your favorite synth is a laptop." Actually, that's pretty great, actually.
Yeah,
Uh,
user friendly. It's really a pleasure actually to see you around.
oh yeah. It's been great watching user friendly's MSP, Jitter, Gen, Chaos Journey.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
cool.
I love seeing that. Um, Sabina says JIT Matrix, and then she says JIT Catch Tilde.
Hmm.
JIT
Yeah,
JIT
this is
Catch is like pretty fun.
yeah. I have a kind of a mixed relationship with JIT catch because I never really understood the mode attribute. And the more I read it, I never understood. Like I can read it 10 times in a row and I still don't know exactly what it does. So it's like
Do
love,
you
hate.
want to know what I do with with the JIT Catch Tilde in the modes? I just flick around the modes until one of them looks the best, and
Yeah,
then I
yeah, yeah,
and then I kind of like, and then I'm like,
yeah.
all right, that'll
Great.
do. Uh, You've gone a step further than me and actually read about them.
Yeah, but now it never really clicks.
I mean it's so funny like how long you can go in Max where you don't need to read certain things and
Yes.
just use a thing. Oh, it does that. Okay. And then it's pretty wild when you find out or you finally look at the reference for it and you're like, "Oh, what? There's an attribute here for something?" Like I've never known that.
Exactly. Yeah.
I
I'm
mean,
actually.
there's like there's over 1,000, well over 1,000, especially with Max 8.3 and the new Jitter PBR stuff. Like there's over 1,000 Max objects in the default installer, and that's without adding any packages or anything. And it's like that's a lot of things to remember.
Yeah, this gives me anxiety actually, now that you mention it.
Though I try not to think about it too much. And actually I just became it's kind of almost like a Zen moment where you finally get comfortable with the fact that you cannot master every single object. Like it's just
Yeah.
it's not possible. And when I realized like I probably know 1,000 English words, but do I use 1,000 English words every day? No. Like, you know, so I'm like, oh, yeah, when I became comfortable knowing that, but I let myself off the hook. Like,
Hmm.
uh,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's why the documentation is there, like, because you can still find something and use it. You don't have to remember it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. In the end of the day, I just use like maximum 10 objects, I think. Uh, all the time, it's always the same. A lot of objects do things that you can do, like in Gen, for example, and they just do it out of the box. So if you don't want to remember, you can just remake the same thing in Gen, and
Right.
that's mostly the way I go. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, knowing all of them. Sometimes I open the object browser
Yeah.
and I get scared and I close it.
I never go there. And it serves no purpose for me.
Yeah,
Uh, I use the search. I use a lot of other things. I don't ever go there. I find it's also like
yeah,
not like it's not how I find related objects. Um,
yeah.
but it's funny, I liken it to learning a second language, and I'm sure many folks here have tried learning a second language. But once you can get a grasp of, 20 to 50 words in another language, it's crazy how much you can communicate, like in a short amount of time. And Max has a similarity to that. I think um, the late Darwin Gross had a project called 20 Objects, and he was adamant that if you could get these 20 objects down, you could then build quite a lot of stuff. And yeah, it is true. Like there's some key objects. Once you get a grip on them, uh, you can do a lot of stuff in Max.
That's awesome. That's an awesome exercise. When you limit yourself, also, is when you start to get creative. Because if you have infinite possibilities, you will never create anything, basically, at least in my experience.
Yeah, I'm gonna post Darwin's 20 Objects series here because it is very good, especially I think especially for getting started. It's a little dated now, like it's got JIT render there, although that still, of course, works fine. It's been superseded by JIT World. Um, I think Darwin would probably redo some of this now, perhaps if he was to redo it. Yeah, it's a great little series. I actually forgot that this even includes jitter. I thought it was only Max and MSP based, but yeah, some cool jitter. Grid shape,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have
fundamental.
to study that. Nice.
So, Federico, I ask this of most people who come on here, like, and I guess not everyone is has enough time. But are you reading any books right now? Are there any books that you're currently reading? And for folks who are interested in expanding their knowledge on graphics and jitter and the likes, is there any books you would recommend?
Cool question. Okay, so I'm actually reading the Creating Music and Sound Design book one again after probably 10 years, 11
Yeah,
years, something like that. And
this one, right?
yes, I just got the older version though.
Yeah.
Yours is cooler.
Yeah, I think all they updated was they added some MC stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
this actually would like to get the new version, but this is the old
yeah,
best.
that's the OG one.
Yeah, and that's because I would like to go more into audio actually, so I was a refreshing knowledge there. And that's a great book for everybody that wants to start Max. I always recommend it for the book to read when starting Max. The thing with this book is that it's slightly dry. That's what folks told me, and
A
I
little
appreciate
bit,
that.
yeah.
It is a bit, but once you get past the dryness and you start rolling with it, then you have a lot of fun. So you just need to push through.
I really appreciated the practical and the theory chapters. For me, I was able to fill in a lot of like knowledge gaps that I had with in regards to like DSP in general.
Yeah,
Uh, which of course then you follow it with the practical chapter, and it just makes everything so much clearer.
totally. Yeah, it's great. If you want to learn, it will teach you, but you have to want it. That's the.
True, true.
And then I got a little nice book, which is generative art.
Ah, yes.
Pearson. It's
I,
not
I've seen
really.
I've seen that book. I don't have it.
It's not really. It's in processing. It's it doesn't really teach you a lot of things, but it kind of teaches you mental state. I think kind of how to start just improvising and have fun with code. And yeah, exactly. Just great to get inspiration, basically. And then the one I always recommend is also from Daniel Schiffman. Um, oh my God, how is it called? I just
I think I have that one. Uh,
The Nature of Code, right?
right, yes.
That's the one that everybody that wants to go into creative coding should read, I think, because it's really well written, not dry at all, and it's just super useful.
Yeah. No,
That's
they're great books. Uh, yeah. He also did a pretty he would does he is he still doing them like Daniel Schiffman? He was doing a lot of tutorials at one point.
the coding train.
Right,
I don't know if he still does it actually.
right. Interesting. Um,
Let's see. Oh, the last video is from 1 month ago. Yeah.
oh, I see there's an update to The Nature of Code coming as well soon, released in September.
Ah, nice. And it's so great that the book is released for free. I mean, donation based. It's so generous, just awesome.
Yeah, very cool. Well, actually, just looking these books up, there's also several other pretty awesome um recommendations. Uh I think someone translated the nature of code examples to Max as well. I seem to recall
I
seeing
think
them.
it
I
was
know
me.
did you translate all of them?
Not all of them, some
Some
of them.
yeah, I seem to recall I remember you doing it in some tutorials, but I think I saw a repository somewhere. Uh, yeah. No, this is great. Great recommendations. And often I find even if these resources are not, how to do it in Jitter or how to do it in Max, like the inspiration they provide, or often some clues on how to approach it in Max. And then of course they can find folks like yourself who have even completed step by step, video tutorials on how to unwrap some of these resources. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, everything is good. Everything you can read, even if it's not directly Max related, it will be useful because the knowledge is always the same, kind of the computer graphics and algorithms in general knowledge is always going to be applicable to Max as well. Because yeah, Max being a programming language, it allows you to implement what you want. So stuff that you could have gotten from somewhere else. That's
Yeah.
the cool thing.
No, definitely. Um, Very cool, Federico. Is there, I mean, besides your own video tutorials, is there like a standout, and besides what's, at Cycling 74, is there another location anywhere on the web or a resource you would recommend that people who want to, uh, get into jitter, level up their jitter, uh, and or their max, any resources that come to mind?
So I've got a page on my website which is called Knowledge Pot, and this is where I share resources that I find interesting. So there are a bunch of tutorials, books, video tutorials, articles. There's a bunch of everything. There are the tutorials from Sam Tarakaisian. There are some tutorials from Chris Vick. If someone remembers, Chris was a great Jitter guy, and I think he moved on to some other software, but he made some cool stuff with Jitter back in the
Yeah,
days.
Chris was at one point just absolutely blowing minds. He's
Yes.
down there in he's a fellow Australian. He's down there in Melbourne. Uh and I believe that he is very integrated in the whole art and commercial world down there, doing many epic projects. I see him on Instagram still, but yeah.
Do you know what he uses nowadays?
I think he joined a company or something at some point, and I think he kind of had to move on to some other software, somewhat work related reasons, and that's why
Yeah,
but the guy certainly has incredible jitter skills.
yeah, yeah. I learned a lot from Chris,
Yeah. Um,
and yeah, um, the Cadence Max course was also. I never really watched it, but I think it was a good resource to get started with Max.
yeah.
I have also listed it here. Otherwise, if you want to start, I will. It, this may sound a bit how do you say, kind of. I would really recommend to start with my tutorials if I was if I
Hey,
was starting nowadays.
yeah, I mean, I probably couldn't recommend a resource better than yours. Oh wow, I'm actually on Chris. Oh dang, I'm on Chris Vick's page, but it looks like his
Another
jitter
Chris.
his jitter stuff is not available anymore. Oh, that's unfortunate. He even had some pretty cool tutorials here.
Oh, let me check if I the tutorials. Let me check if they are still on YouTube.
His web page is saying video unavailable. So
Oh, right. This is no, I think he removed them. Yeah, PT.
Yeah, that is a bummer. Uh yeah, the Music Hack Space is also a great resource. There's some good
Yes, yes.
jitter stuff there. I'm not sure if that's free. Maybe some paid stuff.
Yeah, I think there are some free classes and some free recordings, and then there are some paid ones.
Yeah.
I know that there are a lot of great maxers there, including a lot of Italians, fellows of mine, which I know personally, and I know that they are very good maxers. So there's a lot of stuff to learn there as well.
Yeah, I know Music Hack Space does do discounts sometimes or sales. I understand it's not within everyone's means to constantly, purchase and pay for content, tutorial, educational stuff. But keep your eyes out because Music Hackspace does do some sales and deals and stuff like that to make it a little more affordable. They also put on some free Max events sometimes, which I highly recommend. Actually, I know I see Ned Rush is in here. Ned is a regular teacher over there at Music Hackspace, as well as several of our Max CTs, yourself as well, Federico. It is a reputable resource.
Kind of established as a leader in the space in the last years.
Yeah. Well, the guy who started it, JB, he actually he worked for cycling for a moment.
I didn't know that.
He worked prior to that. He was I think he might have been head of product development or something at Rolly as well. He's been in the, and then before that, I think he was at Novation. He's been in the music industry, I think his entire career. Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. How did I forget?
Oh,
Ned
can we,
Rush. I
Ned?
feel terrible. I'm telling people to go and see Ned Rush at Music Hackspace. But yeah, Ned does an incredible YouTube himself
No, I will put
of
you here.
great jitter tutorials along with a lot of Max stuff.
And very funny as well. That I
Very
must say.
funny. Sometimes drunk, but that's okay. Uh,
That's what we love. Right. Oh, Johnny Unknown. Yeah, that's another very good one,
yeah,
which I
anyone have a link for that? Maybe I know. Oh, this is great. Yeah, I really love catching up with folks here because you get to also learn about some resources that you didn't know. Oh, maybe I did see some of these. Okay, that's cool.
John.
Yeah, I didn't know. I think I might have.
Yeah,
Okay.
he has really some very cool, also very cool pieces like this one. Is some amazing art stuff.
Yeah, okay. Oh, wow.
Tutorials. Yeah,
Oh, there's a ton of cool stuff here. Yeah, that's brilliant.
exactly.
Uh, Very cool. Okay, well, we've
Right?
got
If
a
you, yeah, if someone really wants to learn, there is so much material online. You can really become a master on everything, basically, and, in Max especially.
Yeah, it's incredible. And I've always, even from, my Max days started before YouTube even existed. There was no videos to watch at all. But even still back then, there was this incredible community of people sharing in forums and and the likes. And I do really appreciate that about the Max community from like a personal standpoint is this people's people wanting to share and share in their discoveries, share in their own advancements by showing other people how they discovered or worked out something. And it's not that other communities don't do it, but I think something about working with Max is you never forget starting with Max, and no matter how far you go. And so you're always there's always a part of you that's happy to help others. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, it's a strangely nurturing community. And it doesn't. Yeah, I think. Yeah, it's one of the best groups I've ever been a part of. I mean, there's so many others I'm part of, but like there is always the aggression or something happening in the community. There's some kind of fighting or something, and but people are just patching in the Max community, just doing the thing.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's a amazing community.
oh, I should say, Mateo Marson just
Oh,
turned up.
yes.
Uh, Mateo has also some incredible content and tutorial stuff out there, and incredible Jitter user. Has an incredible Patreon as well. You also have a Patreon, Federico, right?
I do. And I would be lying if I would say that my constancy in putting out tutorials and content in general is also not related to the pattern because it is. It is. I'm so astonished and always so grateful and completely. Yeah, I find it so crazily marvelous that people support me there,
Y-
and I'm
Yeah.
able to work with my patrons. They're all awesome, and yeah, this was really a cool thing that also allowed me to go on with Max and not have to go working at the supermarket next corner. that that is awesome. So yeah, I'm super grateful that I can do that as well.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. And I think the community and people out there can really see like the amount of time and effort that you put into what you give back to the community. And I think $5 a month is a pretty small amount of money to show some gratitude for your efforts. I can't imagine how many people you've helped over the years. And if it means that you can, instead of spending 8 hours down at the supermarket on the checkout, if it means that you can spend 8 hours on further helping more people, I think that's money
That's
well spent.
awesome.
Money well spent.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah. Wow, it's incredible. Yeah, and Mateo also has a. I'll put Mateo's Patreon. Yeah. But I think I love that this thing of Patreon exists, you know, because it was kind of difficult to try and get something of a similar nature together,
Yeah,
10 years ago or so. Um,
yeah. I think my Patreon was also one of the not one of the super first, but was kind of the first wave of Patreons channels.
mm,
Is one of the most lasting ones in the global scale of Patreon.
that's pretty cool. Yeah, I do remember starting one. I think I'm not sure when I became aware of Patreon, but I was like, ah, okay, this is cool. Yeah. Um, yeah, I like it. It's a way to give back a little bit to people people who are out there helping you. Because if you have ever tried to get Max one-on-one Max tutorials, or instruction or any kind of formal education, it's very expensive. So yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yes.
Folks, we might wrap up here shortly. Is there any questions before we sign off for the day? Is there any questions you have for Federico? Perhaps it's something we haven't covered. Perhaps it's something about his work, his past, his future.
You can ask me personal questions as well.
Yeah, yeah. AMA. Uh, yeah. Federico, I know you've done a few live video stuff for artists. Is there any which of these artists can we have you
I
worked with?
did video. I didn't do that super often. So you mean like
Yeah, like
live?
you've done a few video clips and a few live visuals for a couple of artists I recall.
Yeah, I did it especially at the beginning when I was a bit more young and just doing everything that would come to me. It was mostly minor things. Um, Once a pretty famous Italian, I mean, it's not really famous, but it is a really cool musician called Pop X asked me to make a video for him, and I
Nice.
didn't. I didn't do it because
Oh,
I, yeah, I don't know. I kind of lazy it out. But that is my main regret on this. Um, Otherwise, yeah, just minor, really minor stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Nothing, nothing really
Nice.
crazy.
Well,
I did
I
some,
say that what you were saying.
I did some collaborations with artists, just mostly just helping them develop their projects.
Yeah.
Uh,
User-friendly scene. Have you considered making a playable jazz guitar in Jitter to bring it full circle?
Thank you for the question. Yeah, as I say, that really sucked at jazz guitar. I don't think I have the skills to do that, but that would be an idea.
Yeah,
Sam,
maybe you could bring it into the Jitter world.
yeah, like Sam Tarakajan did this very cool air guitar thing. This is
Yes,
awesome. Yeah, this could be something like that in jazz.
Sam's air guitar. Yeah. Um. I just found it here. Here it is. This is Sam's air guitar. I think
It's
there's a patch that goes with it. Yeah, you can download the patch for that actually. Um. Air. Air.
it's so cool.
Guitar.
I
Um,
don't know. It's just so funny.
well, Federico, this has been really awesome to catch up with you. I see you around the water cooler at Cycling 74, but it's great to hang out and have a chat and talk a little bit about your past and your awesome work. I'm going to go out and say, like, on behalf of the community, we are very thankful for you and the incredible body of work. And as we just saw with Chris Vick, it can be there one day and gone the next. You've created this incredible series of tutorials that are out there, freely accessible. Uh, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Yeah, I will always be here. You
Yeah.
can always find me. Thanks
Yeah,
so much.
Federico, you are one of the easiest people to find and talk to in the you respond very quickly. It's incredible. Folks, I recommend Federico is also in here in the Discord pretty regularly in the Jitter channel. Yeah, so don't be shy. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, totally. You know where to find me. We can also have a chat about life and stuff.
All right, folks, that's a wrap. Just a reminder, we do have a patch along. We're going to have a patching event next Tuesday. Tuesday at it's the 18th at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Joshua Kit Clayton, who is our CTO engineer at Cycling 74, will be hosting the event, and it's related to the gamepad, the new gamepad object. So if you're free on Tuesday the 18th, that's next Tuesday at 11, come along. Other than that, we'll see you then. Federico, stick around.
Sorry,
Uh,
thank you. I
Stick
was sick.
around, folks. We'll see you very soon. Bye bye.
So.